Kisakukit, Hugaklik Patrick Williston. Good day. My name is Patrick Williston. I'm a study manager on the International Elk Kootenai Study Board, and I'm going to be this evening's Master of Ceremonies as we invite you to participate in a listening session on the International Elk Kootenai Watershed Study Board. I think we'll start off with a few words of welcome and a couple of instructions about how to interact this evening as we make our way through an agenda that will be introduced to you by the study board co-chairs in a couple of minutes here. So thanks for all. Thank you to everyone for taking time out of your evening and joining us and providing your perspective on the questions in front of the International Elk Kootenai Watershed Study Board. Tonight, as part of our online listening session, there's going to be a few tools that are available to you. And among them is a question and answer button at the top on the banner of your screen. And you're welcome at any time this evening to submit a question. We will we'll be reading these questions. The study board will be reading the questions as we progress through the evening. If there is an opportunity to answer, we'll do our best, but there will also be a dedicated period at the end of tonight where we'll do our best to make our way through the questions that are submitted. So please, you're welcome to respond or to pose questions in that way. After the event, you can also submit any questions that might come to you later through the email address, and it's elk@ijc.org. One of the other components this evening, we're going to have some breakout rooms where we'll get into more detailed discussions about specific topics pertaining to the study. And what will happen a little later on in the evening is you will have an icon on the banner that will indicate rooms. We're going to ask you at that point to click on that icon and then choose one of 4 breakout rooms. And they're organized by the following themes, which were part of the plan of study developed by the Elk Kootenai Watershed Study Board. And these 4 themes are water quality, status, and trends, impacts to human health and well-being, impacts to ecosystems, including cumulative effects, and then mitigation. So we kindly ask at that point in the evening to click on the icon of rooms to choose one of those 4 breakout rooms and to join the discussion and provide your perspectives. You will be joining those rooms with a member of the study board. And you will also be joined by International Joint Commission staff and folks from the management team, such as myself, and there are others on today's this evening's call. So we'll have a facilitator to help guide the conversations, and there will be also someone taking some notes. And that session will last around 45 minutes, and part of that session, well, we'll get to the instructions for what happens during that 45 minutes a little later on in the presentation. We do ask that you please remain within the selected breakout group and not maybe switch groups so that we don't have to recycle or backtrack on our conversations. We can keep the conversations moving forward. That said, if you do make a mistake and you click the wrong button, you are welcome to go back and make that correction. Moving on. Thank you. All right, I think we're just going to take a minute here to introduce our Elk Kootenai Watershed Study Board. And so I think I'm going to ask the study board members to put their cameras on and to take a turn at introducing themselves. And I think we will start here. Here's the group of 8. Maybe we'll start on the left-hand side with Stella Swanson.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stella Swanson. I live in Fernie. I am an aquatic biologist by training and am really enjoying my time on the study board and look forward to your input this evening.
And over to Oliver Brandis.
Kitsakukit, good evening and greetings from the West Coast. I'm Oliver Brandis coming to you from the mouth of the Colquitts Creek in Lekwungen speaking people's territory, the Esquimalt and Songhees in Victoria, BC. And for this, I'm grateful. I'm the Canadian co-chair of the International El Kootenai Watershed Study Board, and I also am at the University of Victoria's Centre for Global Studies, where I co-direct and lead a thing called the POLIS Project on Ecological Governance, focusing on law policy governance. And I too am very pleased for everybody, and I'm looking forward to this discussion and learning from you all. So thank you.
Over to Jill.
Hey, I'll give it a second here to pop up. Kisuk Kiyukit. My name is Jill Frankfurter. I'm one of the U.S. members of the study board. I am located currently in Helena, Montana. My background is formerly an employee with the U.S. Geological Survey, and my background, my work there was in water quality studies and really focused in data management. So I'm really looking forward to tonight's session. So it'd be great to get input from everyone.
Thanks, Jill. Tom.
Kisuk Kiyukit. I'm Tom Vansack. I am the U.S. co-chair of this study board, and I'm coming to you tonight from Kalispell, Montana. And when I'm not working on this project, my role is as Associate Director of the University of Montana's Flathead Lake Biological Station, and I'm an aquatic ecologist by training.
Kelly McKittrick.
Kisuk Kiyukit. I'm Kelly McKittrick. I'm one of the Canadian Study Board members. I recently retired from the University of Calgary, talking to you tonight from the city of Stratford, Ontario, traditional territory of the Attawandaron, the Haudenosaunee, and the Neutral peoples. And I'm pleased to hear what you have to say and contribute tonight.
Thanks, Kelly. And Rich DiGiulio.
Hi, I'm Richard DiGiulio. I'm a professor of environmental toxicology at Duke University in North Carolina, and really looking forward to hearing your comments and your suggestions to get this project moving forward. Thank you so much.
And Clayton.
My name is Clayton Matt. I'm a member of the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes located here in western Montana. Welcome to all of you. Look forward to hearing your perspective on all of the questions we have for you tonight. And I'm a member of the study board.
Thank you, Clayton. And Violet Birdstone. Just checking, see.
Whoops, sorry.
There you are. Hi.
Hello, my name is Violet Birdstone. I'm an elder from the Akam First Nation, living in Vancouver in the Tsleil-Waututh, Squamish, and Musqueam First Nations. Thank you.
Thanks, Violet. So that's our 8-person study board. And I would like to take a minute now just to recognize that the study is taking place, the shared watersheds between Canada and the US that are home to Indigenous nations that have relationships in these shared waters since time beyond memory, long before Canada and the United States existed. They are the protectors and stewards of these lands, Amak, and waters, Wu'u. The study board commits to working closely with the Ktunaxa Nation and its member tribes and First Nations, and with all the governments involved in this reference, and it welcomes comments and questions from the public as we work to care for these lands and for these waters. We're fortunate this evening to have Vice Chair Gary Aiken Jr. from Akankmi with us this evening. Vice Chair Gary Aiken Jr. will be providing us with a few words to support grounding in this evening's conversations in the Amakas Tunaha, the Tunaha territory. I'd like to pass it over to Vice Chair Gary Aiken Jr.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, everybody. Kisukyoke Hukakshe Gary Aiken Jr. Smak Nipku. Usukle Kootenai Nasamiyeki. I'm happy to be here today. Happy to open this. I appreciate everybody being here. I appreciate all the hard work and expertise and knowledge base of everybody as well. One thing about this reference, it's much needed, but it's unprecedented. USA and Canada in partnership with Kootenai Nation are doing this reference, and that's the first of its kind with an Indigenous group also involved as well. So I just appreciate that and understanding the dire need of that and working together. It's great. The Council of Traditional Knowledge Holders is working directly with the study board to integrate Tanakha knowledge. The Tanakha knowledge is a knowledge base we passed down orally, for since time immemorial, based on all of the observations and learnings of the land and the seasons and all the animals and all the lessons they have to teach us, and much more as well. But so it's a beautiful thing to be able to incorporate that inherent traditional knowledge into the science-based knowledge of today as well. And that's what one of the things that we strive to accomplish, and we're proud of the accomplishments we've done to be able to combine the modern day science with the traditional knowledge to create pathways for beautiful work to be done in our territory. You see Kootenai Falls right there. That's a special area for us. That's a religious site. It's a sacred site, and it's a site we had to fight for in 1987, 1988. There's court cases. They wanted to build a dam there, and we had to do what we had to do to maintain the integrity of that place for us. And it's not only that place, but the whole river system and everything it entails, which also connects to the whole world. It's all connected. But that's one of the things that Tanakha have is the covenant with the Creator to take care of this land, so it in turn will take care of us. And when it comes to natural resources, we're very heavily involved in that, of course, because natural resources are cultural resources. They're one and the same. So we are doing our best to uphold that covenant and do what we can. And I applaud the Council of Traditional Knowledge Holders and the study board and everybody putting in their expertise and insight and wisdom into this to find a good solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
It is my great pleasure to whisk you all away to start off this wonderful evening that Gary's set us up, and wonderful MC Patrick has set the stage. We have our agenda laid out here. Well, we're well underway in the welcome and introductions. We're going to outline with the remaining slides with my co-chair a little bit of a listening session and the study overview, and we'll give you at the end of that, after Tom and I and Gary will be available for some of the specific questions in that context. And then, as alluded to, we have a facilitated breakout session where you'll go to the rooms and have more detailed discussion. We'll all come back together for a plenary discussion, and then we'll sum it up and address any of the final questions and comments. The next slide. So the listening session, one wants to ask, well, what is a listening session? And it really is about you guys and really not about us. It's an opportunity for the public to engage directly with us, the study board, and share perspectives. It's an opportunity to share sources of information relevant to the study. As you know, the lifeblood of such a study will be the info we have and the insights and the knowledge and the expertise that the folks who are living there and dealing with it have and bring. The IJC study board is here to listen. We're happy to answer a few questions, but it's really more about us listening to what you have to say. And it's important to recognize that the public input will be considered by the study board to inform questions and to help inform the focus and the work of the study's technical working groups. And there's a couple things that we at this point can't change anymore. And so, what is it not about? It's not an opportunity to change the reference of the directive. I think many of you are familiar, and if not, you should definitely check the website and you'll see all about that. And you will on that website also see our plan of study, which is really important because that's how we are organizing ourselves to succeed. And at this point, this listening session is not really an opportunity to change any of that. So that's kind of the groundwork here. And as we go to the next slide, we'll emphasize that, this is one of three. We've had one up in Fernie, British Columbia, I guess a little over a month ago. We're online here to kind of maximize impact. And then we'll be in person again on the US side in Bonners Ferry, Idaho on August 6th. And of course, just because you participate in one, you're welcome to all of them. And this, again, a really critical way for us to deepen our understanding and bring the necessary information to the study. Next slide. So maybe just by way of a little bit of background, it's my honor to talk a bit about the International Joint Commission. It's really fundamentally about assisting Canada and the US in preventing and resolving disputes over shared waters. And it does it kind of in three main ways. Approving and overseeing projects that use, obstruct, or divert boundary waters or other waters crossing the boundary called applications. And so that's a really fundamental role. The second is responding to joint requests from the Canadian and the United States governments to study and report on questions or matters of difference or concern. And these are called references. And that's what we're all about here on this study board. And often references are time limited, and the IJC via study board investigates and reports back to the governments on the elements outlined in the joint reference letters. And we do that in an independent and impartial way. And you've met our study board, and you're going to meet the wider team as you do the breakouts. So that's really what the International Joint Commission and what this bigger purpose is. And we'll go to the next slide to give a bit more background. So we have the specific reference and directive that came in March 2024. And again, as Vice Chair Gary Aiken Jr. indicated, it's a bit of a special one. So we had both the governments of Canada and the United States, but in partnership with the Kootenai Nation, sent a reference to the International Joint Commission. This reference asked the IJC to establish a study board to convene the experts and knowledge holders to do a few things. Conduct transparent and coordinated transboundary data, information, and knowledge sharing. Secondly, to share, synthesize, analyze the data and information to support a common understanding of pollution within the watershed and its impact on people and species. And to report out. A final report and recommendations to the IJC is due in September 2026. To supplement or support this reference, in September 2024, the IJC provided the directive, a guidance document and instructions to this newly formed study board. You've met the study board. You can go on the IJC and learn a lot more about the reference and the directive itself. Next slide. So we're all about place here, and this is a good capturing of the focus of the board's work, which will be, of course, the Kootenai River mainstream, the Elk River, the Kootenai Reservoir, and information on other tributaries will be used to assist in the evaluation of cumulative effects. And as you can see here, this basin covers parts of southeastern British Columbia, northwestern Montana, and northern Idaho. The headwaters start in Canada and flow across the international border and into the United States, into Montana, and then travels west, returning north back into Canada, again into the Kootenai Lake, until it meets the confluence of the Columbia River. all of which is very important, is part of the Ktunaxa territory. And again, to emphasize, what makes this special is that we have this IJC reference between the two federal governments, but with partnership with First Nations. This is the first time of this type of work. And this is critical because of the transboundary Ktunaxa Nation, which is important because of the geography and history of the watershed. So that really is a fundamental driver for us. Next slide. And on the flip side of the map, here we have an institutional map. And this is to give you a snapshot of how all the pieces work together. And we certainly recognize that it can be a bit confusing to people who are just getting involved. And again, more details provided in the plan of study. But I'm just going to provide a quick overview before I hand it off to my co-chair, Tom, who will go through a bit more detail. And you can see that the IJC is the key body, and I've given a bit of background, and you can see there's some role for an independent review group, and that we benefit greatly from the IJC support team through liaisons, communications, and a number of technical supports. And we, the study board, are doing our work, and you can see us in the middle there. But we're supported by a really critical group, a number of critical groups. One is the study management team, and you met Patrick, and he's one of a number, 6 in fact, who help us support the work and actually do a lot of the work themselves in support of this broader study. They engage regularly, along with the study board members, with a number of advisory groups, the public advisory, the industry advisory, and the council of government advisory groups. Each have a slightly different role, different focus, and their job is to provide some of the specific advice at the different stages and milestones as we work through the effort. Another critical and a part of what makes this study board so unique is the Council of Indigenous Knowledge Holders and the Council of Kasanka and Ktunaxa Knowledge Holders. They are supported by Language and Cultural Working Group, and you can see the circle indication to show how we are at the study board trying very hard to integrate it. We're trying to integrate this knowledge system, the Ktunaxa ways of knowing, the Ktunaxa laws, and the Ktunaxa knowledge systems in all aspects of our work. And so we use the designation of the circle to show the integration and how the language and a number of these efforts filter throughout our efforts. And finally, we have the technical working groups, the acronym TWIG, TWG, and we have a number of leads, and we have the 4 that have now been set up. And again, we'll go through in a little bit more detail coming up, but that is doing a lot of the on-the-ground work of gathering the data, synthesizing, providing the expertise and insights that we at the study board can integrate and bring together in our recommendations and our overall work. So that's just a quick snapshot. I recognize this is a fairly complex diagram, a lot of moving parts, a lot of elements working in complement. Some of the language can sound confusing, but I think you get a sense of how we overall work together. And tonight, we're really focused on this effort ahead and the study board's effort to engage in the broader public, the broader community, and that's why we call it a listening session. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Tom, who will take you the rest of the way of this sort of setting the scene PowerPoint. Thank you.
Thanks, Oliver. Oliver mentioned some of these things, but we on the study board, we have a role and some duties, and they include conducting broad engagement with federal, provincial, state, First Nation, Métis, tribal governments, industry, local communities, basically everyone under the sun who has a stake or an interest in this process. And so this listening session is one of the tools that we are utilizing for this broad engagement. And then we, with the help of our technical working groups, our goal is to share, synthesize, and analyze the data and information that exists to support a common understanding of water pollution within the watershed and the impacts that that pollution has. And then ultimately our products are reporting and recommending related to the findings of this study, what the analysis of the data and information shows, recommendations on governance, and how these recommendations could be implemented, but doing all of it in a transparent and publicly available format. Next slide, please. So the plan of study is what we worked on for the first 6 months or so of the study, and it's basically the work plan that the study board generated for conducting this study of water pollution in the Kootenai watershed. And public engagement was part of the plan of study process, and after we incorporated all of the comments and input from public governments and the advisory groups, we integrated that into the plan of study. It was finalized and has been posted on the study's website. And now we're moving forward on the work that we outlined in that plan of study. Next, please. And here's the general timeline for that study, or for the whole reference. And you can see that first top line gets us to May to September 2025. We're in that May to September section right now, where we've got our plan of study in place. We're advancing on the plan of study, and we're already working on a interim report to document and articulate our progress and our next steps. But perhaps most importantly, and a main focus of this listening session tonight, is the work of the technical working groups. Will be proceeding over the next year, roughly, and ultimately we will be preparing a report, integrating and synthesizing what the technical working groups have done for a final report that is due in September of 2026. So we're 7 or 8 months into this 2-year process, and we'll be snaking our way along this timeline and engaging interested parties along the way. Next slide, please. And so what are the deliverables along the way? The plan of study was the first one. That's our roadmap, our work plan, and that is finalized. As I mentioned, we're already working on the interim report that's due in September that will be showing our progress and articulating what comes next, and then the final report in September of 2026 that will have all of our findings and recommendations, and that'll be provided to the International Joint Commission, who then provides it to the governments. Next step, please. So we've mentioned these technical working groups, or TWIGs, multiple times, and during our conversations and our work on the plan of study, we identified 4 areas that needed to be, deep dives into the existing knowledge and data and reports and studies. And the first one is water quality and status and trends. The next one is impacts to human health and well-being. The third one is impacts to ecosystems, including cumulative effects. And the fourth one is mitigation. They're not in any order of importance or anything like that. And these will be the categories, these will be the breakout rooms that each of you are able to join. So if you're particularly interested in one of those, join that one. And these technical working groups, they are teams of experts from both sides of the border, from different disciplines. Some are from agencies, some are from universities, some are private consultants. And they will do a lot of the work helping us, the board, in moving this whole study forward. And right now they are completing and working on their own work plans and timelines associated with what each of them are going to be doing. And once those work plans are approved, each technical working group will kind of do what we're doing at the plan of study. It'll be in motion and moving forward. These technical working groups are responsible for identifying cross-cutting issues that are relevant to many themes. And the technical working groups will be communicating with each other. They're not existing in silos. There's a lot of information that will be shared. There's a lot of relevant data and questions that overlap and don't fit into one of those groups. And we recognize that up front, and we'll be integrating and coordinating communication amongst them. And these technical working group members are appointed by the study board and the International Joint Commission, and they represent a variety of different disciplines and specialties and backgrounds. And the goal is for them to address all the different dimensions and work required under this directive. Next slide, please. So moving forward, we're going to have breakout sessions based on these 4 technical working groups. Each breakout room will have a facilitator. And ultimately, at the end of the discussion, there'll be a summary that came out of each working group that'll be shared with everyone involved. The breakout session will be about 45 minutes. We have prepared some questions in advance that will be shared with the goal of them fostering discussion and dialogue. And they're related to the upcoming work of the technical working groups. Each breakout room will also have a study board member. And then at the end, we will gather back together with a review of key points. And there's also an opportunity to provide some feedback on this process. Next slide, please. So we're asking you to choose a breakout room that reflects your interests. We ask that people don't switch. Patrick mentioned this up front. We want the conversation to be able to progress, and if people switch, there would be some backtracking. We want you to share your perspectives verbally. We want to hear from you. What matters most and where? And what studies and information exists that we, the study board and the technical working groups, need to know about. And certainly during this conversation, we welcome you to ask questions. And this is called a listening session. We here on the study board, we are here to listen. So yes, so far you've just been listening to us, but that's about to change. It's called a listening session for a reason. And our goal is to hear from you as we move forward into the breakout sessions. Next slide. And that is it for our presentation. So as we've mentioned, the opportunity exists now for each of you to pick one of the breakout rooms that are categorized according to the technical working groups. And so I just had a view rooms tab open up, and I see a link where I can join one of the breakout rooms. And hopefully, if technology is cooperating today, all of you do as well.